Hi everybody, welcome along to Through the Banner on this Thursday, heading towards another massive round of football. Skeet, joined by COD from the West Australian, taking you through the teams, a couple of tips, but also the big issues that are floating around. Derby number 53, COD. Adam Simpson's talked it up as one of the most important in the history between these two clubs. Well, do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. When you think back to the fact that it's the first time since 2015 where there is a finals ladder position riding on it. Back then it was 1 and 2 on the ladder. Both teams were chasing top spot. Now we're looking at two teams that are chasing those 7th and 8th positions. It looked back to 2003 when a home final was up for grabs late in the year when they played. So you've got to really think that only one of these teams now is going to play finals. It will probably be the team that wins this weekend.
Bear in mind, round 7 this year, no crowd. Eagles won again for the 11th time in a row. Will it change on Sunday? Should be a bumper crowd. It's a Freo home game. Speaking of Freo, Andrew Brayshaw, 1-match suspension at the tribunal. The Dockers took one step towards trying to get him off, but decided not to appeal. Right, Cor?
Having been in the tribunal, I think it was the correct decision. I didn't like their defence. They argued that he was an honest person and that he didn't do it because he didn't mean to do it, and that they should just believe him. And the opposition, the AFL, turned around and said, well, you had one hand on the football, tackling it to your opponent's chest. Surely you knew where the ball was if you wanted to lock it in. So what was the other hand doing? And he couldn't answer that question. So given that it was an honesty question versus a why wasn't your hand on the ball situation, I don't think the tribunal had any other option really other than to find him guilty.
And I think Andrew Brayshaw, we know he's a great young man, terrific footballer. It's a little lesson he'll learn, and his reputation won't be harmed off the back of that. Let's get into our two teams for Derby number 53. Let's start, I guess, with the big news at West Coast, where they've got some big names returning for their side.
Yeah, absolutely. When you go through West Coast, Tom Barrass, back from injury. Liam Ryan, back from injury. Luke Shuey, back from injury. So they're three really big ins. And of course, with extended squads, they also bring in Jake Waterman, and Luke Foley is part of that team as well. So you'd be really happy if you're a West Coast supporter to be seeing players of that calibre coming back, and you just hope that they're fighting fit and ready to go.
What about at Fremantle? We know that Brayshaw out because of suspension, and Nathan Wilson also out because of injury.
Yeah, absolutely, and that they've once again brought in more because of the extended squads. Sam Switkowski comes in to give them pressure in the forward line. Bailey Banfield also comes in to give them that forward option. Blake Acres has been back in the waffle for a while. He'll come back into that team. Ethan Hughes and Toby Watson are both in defence. So it gives them a couple of options to choose from when they finally bring these teams down and after the extended squads that we have at the moment.
Sides from around the country have just been released. The teams are in. Any notable inclusions or exclusions, Cod?
Well, the big one in terms of exclusions is Buddy Franklin. We know he's on the race towards 1,000 goals. We're all hoping he can get there this year. He's got on 986, 2 home and away games, probably 2 finals to go for Sydney, and he's been managed. They've just managed him. So whether or not they're saying, let's just get rid of this 1,000 goals issue and make it out of the possibility for this year or not, or whether he's a bit sore, who knows. But at the moment, he's being managed and he's out this weekend. Harry Mackay, the Coleman medalist, Coleman medal leader, he's out also, but he's got an 11-goal lead. So you would think that he'll be right, even though he's unlikely to play again this year. Jeremy Howe is also out. Riley O'Brien for the Adelaide Crows is another one of the big outs. And in terms of ins, Lachie Neale, you can't get much bigger than Lachie Neale as the Brownlow medalist, can you?
Absolutely. Missed the game against the Dockers, but back for Brisbane. Speaking of outs, out for good. Dean Margetts, umpire from WA, had a super career. He's been one of the umpires that has copped some criticism over the journey. You know him pretty well, Cod. He'll go out on Sunday in the Derby, hopefully with a clean sheet, so we say, with regards to criticism.
Yeah, he's been a polarising figure. He knows that. We all know that. I was fortunate enough to train with him and umpire with him over more than a decade. While he was at AFL level, I never umpired a game with him while he was at AFL level. But 377 games of AFL football, 485 if you include his waffle games as well. He was desperate to get to 500 but won't get there. Extremely good umpire, longevity quite amazing when you consider he's 47 years of age. And despite everyone saying he barracks for West Coast or he barracks for Fremantle or he favours this team or favours that team, 70% of his games have been on the East Coast. So he's done a hell of a lot of flying, 1.2 million kilometres in the air. So good luck, Dean. Hope you go well this weekend and hope the crowd don't give it to you too much when you're walking off, because you deserve better than that.
Absolutely. You talk about a distance covered 25 times around the world, or maybe back to the moon and back 1.5 times. Dino has done some travel. Kudos to you. Great job. Let's hope Sunday's a beauty. Speaking of which, top tips to at the West Australian. Although the margin is closing, Who are you tipping on Sunday?
I gave one back last week. Really regretting tipping Fremantle last week. Now, I'm tipping West Coast. As much as they've been poor for a fair amount of time now, I think Fremantle's inability to score at the moment is a real issue. They're only averaging 50 points a game from their past 4. If West Coast can prevent the run-ons that they've been doing a lot for the opposition in recent weeks, I think they'll win, which will extend their Derby winning streak to 12.
Yes, Eagles for me as well. Hopefully it's a great game. You'll see, of course, all the action on 7 and 7 West with a full coverage of this big weekend of footy here in WA. Make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel at The West Australian. And, of course, follow all the sport and news at thewest.com.au. That's been COD. This is Skeet. Great to have your company on Through the Banner. We'll see you next Thursday.